Hello YouTube vintage radio collectors. Now here's one of these orphan AM radios from the past, and this one has a great story with it. I'll tell you what it is. It's a JVC, Japanese vending company brand, or whatever it stands for, Nivico AM radio. Japan, 1965-66. Not much on the internet about them. There's a bunch of these. There were Sony's and Holiday and different brands that came over at that time. And they're pretty low priced. They worked really well. They're pretty light and portable compared to a few years before with the heavier tube portables. Basically has a 4-inch speaker in it. Pretty small chassis. You look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 transistor. It actually works fairly well. I don't play the radios much on YouTube anymore. I play 15 seconds and next thing I get a violation because of the song. Anyway, I'll tell you more about the radio. I put a couple caps in it. There's one back here to get it running properly. Dial string was pretty funny. It's 3 different segments put together. I don't think it came that way originally. I just think it was just very soft twine and it just broke and somebody tried to fix it. I'll tell you where this came from. It was a garage sale, battery tube. It was a garage sale, estate sale type of thing. And because of COVID-19, not many people were going to garage sales this summer, but I mean, I went there. It was just me and the guy that owned the place. And he was a guy in his 80s selling his house, and I went through it, and a lot of this stuff wasn't things I was the first one there and the only one there. A lot of this stuff I wasn't that interested in. Like, I'm not interested in, I don't need a new bedroom set or anything like that. This was the only vintage radio. Now, in his basement furnace room, he had a little workshop, and I've got so many tools. I wasn't that interested in his tools. This was sitting on a shelf with an ashtray over here, a little ashtray, and filthy dirty. And I said, hey, how about the radio? And he goes, I got that when I bought the house and moved in. I don't know, it was 1966, I think it was something like that. He goes, it's been there ever since. He goes, hasn't worked for years. It had a set of batteries in the battery tube. They corroded, they leaked. Interesting thing about these, they were made to a price point. And so it had 4 D cells under tight spring pressure between a spring here, which broke, and a contact here, and it split the case along here, along here, along here. Normally, I don't really fix broken radios because they're not worth very much. But these were so fragile and they're so hard to find these days. I decided, okay, I'll epoxy it from the inside, make it strong. Some of these screw terminals, where you put the screws in to hold the board down, were broken. I built them up with epoxy, so you can put a screw back in. And I've restrung the dial string. I'm not going to use the original battery tube and spring because it will break the case. I'm just going to use 4 AA's, and then if anybody buys this, I will give them the battery tube and they can just use it whichever way they want. But if you take 4 old flashlight cells from the 60s, they won't last as long as 4 good alkaline AA's that we have today. It'll play for hours and hours. And let's see if we can get it going. Control needs a little spraying. Restrung the dial. These I always find, they're germanium transistors. They're quite easy to fix. You don't even need a schematic. I mean, there's 4 tuned IF transformers. If you need, you can just put it to a weak station and peak them. I find usually the transistors are fine. It's the coupling capacitors. So I've replaced 3 out of the 4. This thing is so simple and so decontented. It's amazing it works as well as it does. But I've actually done 3 of these before, and it's amazing how well they work. They were really innovators back in the day. Anyway, thanks for watching and listening. Vintage Nivico.